Hi, my name is Sama. I'm a librarian at the Augusta Memorial Public Library in Augusta, Wisconsin. Throughout the month of October, I've been doing different writing talks, trying to get people to do National Novel Writing Month with me. This one in particular is focusing on teens and things they should know when they go into writing their first novel. Um, if you're an adult looking for something, I will have a video. So you want to write a novel, and that one might be more into what you're looking for than this general YA centric one. But let's get started. The Good and the Bad, according to Annie Barrows of Rip the Page, which is this really good, at least I liked it, kind of idea generator type of novel. Um, oh, if you write, you're a writer. I think that's the most important thing for especially teenagers to really understand. I've been a writer since I was 12, and I've known that I'm a writer since I was 12. A lot of my friends were like, "Sama, you're a teenager. You're not really a writer. You're not even published. Blah blah blah." That's not being published is not what makes you a writer. Um, and a lot of people get confused on that. Um, I really like this idea that the things that get you in trouble can be used in your stories later, also getting hurt. Um, I'm sure that there are a lot of authors who take into account, getting in trouble for dyeing the dog green or, breaking your arm in a baseball game, whatever it is. Um, they're relatable things that happen to a lot of different people. And, you know, that's something that just happens to everyone. Spelling has nothing to do with good writing. Thank God. I am a horrible, horrible speller. Um, I thank Microsoft Word for improving my spelling. Also, I love their thesaurus function. I would be completely lost without Word. The bad, however, to write, to be a writer, you have to write. You can't fake your way through being a writer. You have to have these ideas. You have to be able to do this. Um, if you've never heard of John Scalzi, he's a sci-fi author. I just happened to stumble on his blog. Apparently, he got into a little bit of trouble about this particular article for these first 2 points. Right now, your writing sucks. Um, he went on to explain that it's not that you suck. It's not you. It's your writing. Um, there are a few people who have managed to not suck at 15. Essie Hinton, for one. She's one that always gets brought up. But for the most part, there's reasons that you suck. Or your writing sucks, not you, sorry. You're really young, first of all. Um, it's hard to get into a mindset that, you know, you relate to an adult reader when you're 14. Um, you might relate to another 14-year-old reader, but at the same time, you're going to get really convoluted. So, you got to be able to sort past that kind of thing, which goes into you're besotted by your influences. I'm 23, 24. Oh my gosh. And I have the same problem. In America, we are constantly barraged with social media, Facebook, um, where people, post links, YouTube videos, whatever it is, television, politics right now, the books we read, the movies we watch, all of it creates who we are. And it's very hard to create something different when we have all of these things at us that this is how everything should be. It's easier to be clever than good. I kind of understand this. Um, when I was a teenager, I see a lot of what I wrote was very, very bad. Not to say that it wasn't funny, not to say that it wasn't clever, to use his word, but it was bad. It was just awful. So, I go back and I read them now, and they're hilarious about how bad they really are, but they're also funny because they are genuinely funny. Um, so, for me as a teenager, it was a lot easier to make people laugh than to get them emotionally attached some other way. But you also need to remember that it's okay that your writing sucks. Um, you're going to get better as you get older. Like I said, I'm 24. My writing has progressed so much since I was in high school. I've been writing pretty much nonstop since the sixth grade. Um, a few little dips here and there where I would go like months without writing. But for the most part, you know, the more you write, the better you're going to get. But you need to write every day. Um, and whether that's something that you have to set aside time for, which is what a lot of people suggest doing, even as an adult writer, um, me, I would write during class, which I'm sure really annoyed my teachers, and I don't recommend it at all. At lunch, I write while I'm on breaks at work. Um, any free moment of time I have, if I'm not reading or on Facebook, I'm writing. Read everything. Um, by the boring stuff, he means the classics, he means nonfiction. Um, Personally, even as a librarian, I don't like classic literature. The only exception to that rule is the Wizard of Oz series, which I recommend to everyone. It's so funny and it's held up so well. The series is over 100 years old and it still makes me laugh. So if you're looking for a classic, The Wizard of Oz is where it is at. Um, Other things, Robert Louis Stevenson is really popular for some reason I will never understand. Um, Alice in Wonderland is one of my little sister's favorites. So, but in order to be a good writer, you have to know where our idea of classic came from. You also want to read old things like Greek mythology. That kind of stuff is fun though, so I don't really consider that classic. Also, he recommends that you start looking at publishing options now. I don't know how I personally feel about that. Uh, but, there's probably a lot of local things for you. Here in Augusta, I recommend the Pulse. They are adamant about, getting people writing in particular, but also just to be creative. And sometimes that's all you need. Other publishing options for teenagers I will get to later, but like Teen Ink, that is for teenagers by teenagers. The internet is a big one as well. Um, I started with fanfiction.net, as crazy as that sounds. Fiction Press. There's lots of places online you can publish, and even starting your own blog. I've got a blog where I post all of my stuff, and Facebook. I post a lot on Facebook now as well. Don't be afraid of rejection. Not everyone is going to like you or your writing. Um, I tend to find people that don't like my writing funny because I'm like, I'm not writing for you. That probably sounds really bad, but if you don't like me, don't read it. I'm okay with that. Um, Per the rejection thing, he's talking more about publishing. Most novelists sometimes have to send it to, 25, 30, 40, 100 different publishers before someone even, oh, hey, this is kind of interesting. Part of that is you have to take into account that publishers read, or editors read typically, the first paragraph, and if they don't like it, they don't read it. If it doesn't grab their attention and keep it, they're not going to give you a second look. So when we start writing, you're going to want to focus a lot on that opening chapter in particular, because sometimes they'll be, oh, hey, this first paragraph was okay, let's read a little more, and they'll want, the first chapter, the first three chapters before they're like, oh no, this actually wasn't that great, never mind, we don't want to deal with you. So don't be afraid of that. It happens to everyone. One thing I always see on the internet is and I apologize if you're a Twilight fan, but Stephanie Meyer submitted Twilight to 14 different publishers before she was published, and honestly, that's not very many. So she kind of lucked out there, and I honestly have no idea how she accomplished it, but each to their own, I guess. um, so, how should you go about getting started? Writing exercises are great. You can find writing prompt books. There's lots of stuff on the internet. Later in my resources, I have a couple of different URLs and links. Mad Libs are actually really fun. I wouldn't have thought about this, except there was an author, or not an author, a librarian from, I think, New Mexico, who has this really great page that I will put up a link for my big resource list. And one of her icebreaker write-in ideas was to do Mad Libs with other writers. So they're fun, little mini stories. Plot generators are awesome, especially when you just want to do a little flash fiction, less than 500 words, whatever it is. Quick idea to get your brain moving. Word games. Something as simple as, the name game. One of my new favorite games right now is it's actually a dice game. It's called Rory's Story Cubes. It's 9 dice with little pictures on it. You can find them on Amazon and stuff. The general gist of it is that you roll the 9 dice, you pick one to start with, and you start a story with once upon a time, working in all 9 of the items on the dice. New favorite game. It's amazing. You also want to read. Read as much as you can for as long as you can. Not just fiction, but you also maybe want to read nonfiction. If you're a planner, read something like Chris Beatty's No Plot, No Problem. I've got a book I am absolutely loving right now called Writing and Publishing. It's by Tina P. Schwartz. It's a YA nonfiction book. I forget who the publisher is. I'm pretty sure it's on my list of resources, though, so hopefully you guys can look at that later. A lot of people recommend doodling. I'm not a doodler. I'm not a drawer, artist, however you want to say that. But some people sketching out an idea, maybe you like to draw comics. That could be something you do too. Finally, people watch. Actually, that may not be my final point, but people watching is fun. You know, getting into gists of conversation, making up conversations for people that you can't actually hear. The mall is a great place for that, in the food court. The first time I actually really people watched, I was at an FFA convention in Madison, and we had this tiny little window at the floor of the room, which was really weird, but it overlooked the sidewalk in this back parking lot, and every once in a while people would just kind of walk through this back door that came in the behind the lobby. And I just remember that there was this guy, he walked past 4 times, and I just decided that, his name is Bob and he likes cats, and I was making up stories about his cats. It's a good time. I like to people watch. Some other ideas: inventing things. And by inventing things, I don't mean, go build a robot. I mean things that could make the world more interesting. Like, one of the ideas or things that's coming out now, steampunk is really popular. One of the examples I used when I actually did this talk in front of an audience was, what if we all had microchips in our ears that let us, do telekinetic things, or Facebook in our brain, or whatever it is. Keeping a journal. I used to be a really good journaler. Not so much anymore since I went to college. Um, the book I recommended earlier, Writing and Publishing, suggests brainstorming. Sometimes all you really need is just get out a piece of paper and write things down. YouTube is great. Whether it's watching cartoons from, there's a Vancouver art school that puts out cartoons every year from their graduates, um, or watching like Potter Puppet Pals or something. I don't know, do something. Finally, inspiring art, photography, or film. Sometimes for me, just looking at a picture or, something great like, I really like um, one of the David sculptures. I want to say Donatello, but I think that's wrong. The one where he looks like Peter Pan, if that helps. Or even a movie. Say you're a huge Alice in Wonderland fan, go watch the Disney version and then watch the newer one and then, read the book. And what do you pull out of all of those things to make your own crazy world? Um, One thing that I don't have on here um, is. Oh, it was just in my head and now I don't have it. Maybe it will come back to me later. Not a big deal. Some famous teen authors, S.E. Hinton, who I've already mentioned, was 15 when she first got published. Um, she's kind of cool in that she's kind of a recluse now. Um, she doesn't give a lot of interviews, and I just think she's kind of cool. My mom actually was a pretty big fan of hers when she was a teenager, and I think I was probably eighth grade. And my mom said, "Here, read The Outsiders," and I loved it. Who else would name their child Ponyboy or Soda Pop? Best person in the world. Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein, was 19. Gordon Corman, who, if you have not read Gordon Corman, I highly recommend it. A good one to start with is Born to Rock. He is hilarious. I love him, and he's so creative. Um, Christopher Poloni, who did like Aragon and Eldest and whatever that other one was. I'm sorry, I haven't read any of his books, but I hear they're very good. But he was 19. And then Dave Pilkey, who did the Captain Underpants novels as well as others. He was only 19. I actually didn't know that. But, so yeah, check out some of these authors if you haven't already. Characteristics of a good story. I really like this comic. When I did this, I didn't actually like point that out, but hopefully she read it. Um, you want to define the theme, whether that is, growing up, leaving the house, um, if you're an older empty nest, um, romance, whatever it is you're doing. You want a well developed plot. I personally don't know if I always understand my own plot. Um, I've had stories where people say, "Oh man, I love this plot. It's, so engaging or whatever." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? I just write things. I don't even know what I'm talking about." The characters just kind of take themselves where they want to go. But, if you're into that, make sure you're working on that. You want a distinct style. There's a really big difference between um, like a Jennifer Cruzy book and like Janet Ivanovich. They're both very funny, but they have two very distinct styles. Um, Other authors, J.K. Rowling and Stephanie Meyer. For some reason, people always lump them together, which I will never understand. But, obviously, J.K. Rowling is a lot different from Stephanie Meyer. How anyone would ever think that those two fan groups should ever get together, I do not know. Um, Characterization. You want your characters to be relatable. You want them to not fit into like a mold. You want them to be independent. Like I would never confuse Harry Potter with Ron Weasley, or with Draco Malfoy, just for example. Um, you also want to make sure that they are your characters. I don't want to see Ron Weasley in some crazy Cinderella story. You know what I mean? You want to have this dramatic appeal. Um, that varies a little bit. depending on who your audience is. You're going to write very differently, whether you're writing for children, other teenagers. Are you writing for a 24-year-old woman, or are you writing for an 80-year-old man? Appeal varies from your audience, but you want to make sure you're matching your audience. You have two focuses: your genre and your audience. I just talked about that a little bit. I got ahead of myself. Your genre, whether that's romance, science fiction, fantasy, inspirational romance, mystery, mainstream or literary fiction, whatever it is. You want to make sure you stay within that genre with maybe a little bit of bleed over. I tend to do that a lot. I start out with a YA story and it will bleed into what I am coming to love as new adult. Audience wise, within your genre, you're going to have a lot of different audiences. For example, here at the library, we have a couple of patrons who like inspirational Christian fiction, but they don't want anything dirty in it. They don't want any kind of violence. And so finding them something is really hard because they don't even want kissing in it. So I usually have no idea what to tell them because it's I like to read that kind of thing. So it's really different between writing for a 20-year-old woman and an 80-year-old woman. A really big difference between writing for a 30-year-old guy and even a 50-year-old guy. So pay attention to that kind of thing when you're writing and really know who it is you want to be reaching. Basic tip: engage your senses. Show, don't tell. When I was in middle school, I remember one of the tips our teacher gave us was rather than saying ahead there was a big moss-covered mansion, at the top of the hill, say, man, this, or dialogue it, man, this hill is really steep, and look at all that ivy. What's up with that? Whatever it is. Plots. This image here is actually really cool. This is actually how J.K. Rowling does her plots. I don't think this is actually one of hers, but I could be wrong. I actually can't really read it. But if you know where it came from, awesome. I think I just pulled all of this off of Google. But tension management. You want to keep people wanting to read. For this image we have here, it breaks up all of those different subplots. Because you don't always have just one plot running throughout your story. And you want more than one plot running throughout your novel. Unless you're writing a short story, in which case you've only got room for one. But, keep the flow moving and keep them wanting to get to the end. Don't be afraid to vary from the old school diagram, just on my next slide. Because life has its ups and downs, and so should your story. So, looking at this diagram, this is not how all stories go. I used to hate trying to make novels fit into this diagram when I was in school. Because not all stories do this. Most stories, they're going to have subplots, they're going to have, crazy little ups and whatever, and, you're going to hit that climax, and you're going to fall, but that's not to say you're not going to go up once or twice more before you're finished. So don't always try to fit into this outline. Starting out, Writing and Publishing by Tina P. Schwartz is my new favorite book. You want to open with something like a question, and that can be dialogue. It can be a philosophical question. An announcement, such as, I'm leaving this house and I'm never coming back. That's a really bad example, but I don't know what it is in the book, and I don't want to look for it. I know, I'm lazy. A bold and challenging statement. Um, if you touch one hair on my daughter's head, it'll be the last breath you draw. Um, that kind of thing is going to keep people, okay, what is her problem? And a quotation from someone, whether that's, oh man, that movie is so disgusting. It's going to make you want to hurl. Something attention getting. I like opening with dialogue. That's one of my favorites. But I also have been opening lately with like feeling. For some reason, I write a lot about clubs, which is funny because I don't dance. But the thrum of the music, the heat, the sweat, that kind of a thing. Personal experience. Sitting in a hospital, walking home in the rain after a really bad day, that sort of a thing. And how you feel. How you feel. I don't know how that happened. Oh well. Panic, worry, heartsick, or lovesick, homesick, whatever it is. Things that people can relate to. Outlining. You want to focus on 3 things: the plot, the problem, and your solution. A novel should have more than one plot, therefore more than one problem, therefore more than one solution. So you're going to repeat all 3 of those things as you're going, and they're going to intertwine and everything. When you're outlining, it's a good idea to have at least 5 key points that keep your novel moving. I don't think I have any examples of that just off the top of my head, but going to boarding school, making a new friend, fight in the cafeteria, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. Helpful links. The first one goes to a plotting template, which is going to be available. I'll have it down below. The Young Writers Program workbooks are amazing. I love them. This year they've been updated, so you can actually type everything in the Adobe and print it, or just leave it electronic, and you don't have to print it in order to put things in it. There's also a generators thread, which is the third one there, which is on the NaNoWriMo forums. Lots of different generators for whatever you need a generator for. One of my favorites is a restaurant and pub naming generator. I always need to name restaurants for some reason. There's also going to be name generators, plot generators, I don't know, all kinds of generators in there. Way too many to just list off. The writer's cheat sheet is actually really cool. It's by, I think, No White Space. And someone just took all of these different elements of what makes a good novel, what makes a good plot, and crammed them all onto an 8.5 by 11 sheet piece of paper. And so it's just words and doodle everywhere, but it's actually really helpful. So I really recommend taking a look at that. And again, it will be on my resource sheet. And finally, Grammar Girl. I don't know a whole lot about Grammar Girl. Apparently people like her. I've paged through one of her books we have here at the library, but if you need grammar help, apparently she's the one to go to. Nuts and bolts. Please, 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 please use paragraph breaks. Personally, I would not be an editor because I'm horrible at that kind of thing. But I have heard horror stories from local people who have been asked to edit things by people, and they've been handed pages upon pages of just block of text. Block. Not blocks. Block of text. So please, please, please use paragraphs. It's not hard. Just hit the enter key. You don't even have to tab. I will forgive you tabbing, but just please hit enter after your thought. Um, think about your style. Are you talking first person versus third person? Um, Diaries and journals are really popular. I've tried it a couple of times and I'm not personally fond of it. Um, by alternative formatting, one of the cooler books or coolest books I've read lately um, was actually, it was called So and So's Year and Stuff. So it was actually told in like post it notes on the fridge, IM messages, um, like notes in her lunch bag. Um, what else? Comics her brother drew. So that was really funny. Meg Cabot, also her Boy Meets Girl and Boy Next Door series, are all told in emails and I think blog posts and all like electronic media. I absolutely loved reading those because you get everyone's side of the story, and I think that's really fun. Um, Personally, I'm a first person narrator. I like to get into my character. Plus, sometimes it's really helpful when all your characters are boys or all your characters are girls, and having to do the he said, she said, and he did this to him. It gets kind of confusing even to me sometimes when I'm doing that outside narration. You don't have to have perfect grammar. I know I don't. I am horrible at grammar. um, I had to take a style and elements of grammar class a couple of years ago. Absolutely awful. My professor hated me because I was like, I don't need to do this. This is just dumb. But it does help to have a solid knowledge of it. Um, you can say you don't need it when you're published. That's what editors are for. That's how I've always felt anyway. Sorry, editors. Something to have keep or to keep by you while you're writing: a dictionary and a thesaurus, which are on Word. If you use like Scrivener or Storyist or YWrite or something like that, they probably have them as well. People really recommend having style of writing. I forget who that's by. I'm an awful person, sorry. Um, really recommend having that around. One of the other things that I didn't bring it with me. I had someone recommend the 10 Commandments to me. It wasn't in our library system, but I managed to get it through WizCat. So if you're looking for something that's a little more teen based, that might be helpful. Other helpful to go resources or go to resources. I don't even know off the top of my head. A lot of places online will have like formatting help, grammar help. There's online dictionaries, online thesauruses. Um, On Writing by Stephen King is really popular. Um, I've been recommending No Plot, No Problem by Chris Beatty. Sometimes you just need that like kickstart type of thing. But if you're local and you need help, shoot me an email or stop into the library and I'll try and help you out. Characters are the most important part of your novel. I'm one of those people, I believe that characters are these little people that live inside your head. Uh, People always think I'm being schizophrenic when I say that, and I'm not. Um, to me, my characters are a part of me, and yet they're not. Um, I have sometimes a hard time really remembering that my characters are someone else. So I like to give them little quirks that are very unlike me. For example, they go to clubs. I do not dance. I'm not even a huge fan of music. Please don't shoot me for saying that. To me, music is background noise. But like my main novel that I've been working on since I was a teenager, my main character is an artist. I can't draw. His best friend wants to be a journalist. I don't like journalism. I don't like magazines. Um, a group of their friends are in a band. I'm not a music person. His best female friend, her mom is a doctor. Her dad works for NASA. and she's just kind of weird, which I guess is like me. Uh, but giving them those quirks, so that they are different from you. Maybe it's something that they like to eat. Like my characters usually like to eat fish. I don't like fish. Ugh, gross. Um, Maybe they're more adventurous. They want to try and eat like fugu or something. Something you would never do, just to keep things interesting. Um, what annoys them, or keeps them going? What do they like to do? Know what their hobbies and interests are. Know what their background is. Like for example, my character Pixie. I know her mom is a brain surgeon. Her dad works for NASA. Do I ever mention that? No. But, sometimes it's just fun to know that about your character. J.K. Rowling is probably the best author I've ever seen at doing that. Every single character in Harry Potter, even the ones she doesn't mention, like the Weird Sisters, they're a band. She knows all their birthdays. Um, she knows what Draco did after school. She knows their entire life histories. And if she doesn't know it, she makes it up when she's asked. And then she remembers it for later. Or if she doesn't, someone else does. So I like to use like character profiles like this picture here. Just let you know where they're coming from. And I think that's really helpful while you're writing. Because, maybe you don't think you're going to use that. They went on a family vacation to Yosemite when they were 5. And then it comes up awkwardly in a conversation later. And you're like, oh yeah, that works there. Make sure that they have a unique voice. I'm trying to think of some really unique voices. Coraline. Neil Gaiman is really, really good at creating unique, specific voices for his characters. Coraline doesn't like recipes, which I think is funny because who doesn't like recipes? People always call her Caroline instead of Coraline. That kind of thing. Even in the Anansi brothers, I don't know if I just said that right. Each of those characters has their own unique voice, but you would also never confuse them for someone else. Also in the specific voice thing, the slang that they use, their buzz or catchphrase, and their vocal patterns. I got a lot of words my second year doing NaNoWriMo because one of my characters had a stutter that went away when he was mad. So, think about your character and how they talk. If you have trouble getting a voice in your head, go out and listen to other people talk. I think I have a very unique way of talking. I don't know. I know I say and a lot, which I'm sure is annoying the crap out of some of you right now. But, listening to those things makes it so that you can get that into your other characters. Writer's block. We all get it at some point. So relax. It's not the end of the world. If you're listening to this doing NaNoWriMo, everybody hits a wall before they hit that 50K. Easiest thing to do is just go do something else for a while. Get out of the house. Even if it's your scheduled writing time, sometimes you just need to go play a game of Tetris or Minesweeper or, a video game or go take a walk around the block, scribble, watch some YouTube videos, something. Just stop thinking about what you're writing. Skip it. I don't really like to do that, but I know people that find it really helpful that, they're at this certain section, they don't know what to do, but they know what comes after. Well, just skip that section and go work on what happens afterwards. Above all, do not give up. It's not the end of the world if you hit a wall. Everybody does. I know I do all the time, and part of that is procrastination as well. And don't confuse writer's block with procrastination. Trying to exercise. This URL right here, just 15 little quick writing exercises. I don't remember any of them offhand, but they're easy, and it gets other creative juices flowing so that you're not blocked. You just don't know what to write on your main whatever you're working on. Some people find it easy or helpful to write on a schedule. I personally have no time to do that. I work 2 jobs and I go to school, so writing on a schedule does not happen for me. But I write on breaks. Um, I write between classes, sometimes during classes, while I'm here at the library and we've got some downtime. Whatever it is, you know, find a time, every day that you can sit and scribble down something. Write or die. This isn't as weird as it might sound if you're not familiar with it. It's a desktop or iPad app that has 3 different levels to it. An easy, something, and a kamikaze mode. And if you stop writing, it will either emit on the gentle mode, it will remind you to keep writing. On the middle mode, it actually makes a really loud beeping noise and doesn't stop until you start writing again. And on the kamikaze mode, if you stop writing for I think more than 30 seconds, it actually deletes what you're writing. So, if you need a prompt to really get moving, Write or Die is awesome. But if you're not into that and you want something a little cuter, Written Kitten, you can pick, I think it's in increments of 500 up to 2,000. For every time you hit your goal, it gives you a different cat. So, if you're looking for something cute or whatever it is, with that one or with both of these, you just copy and paste it into your Word document when you're finished. But, little things to get you moving. The Young Writers Program, which I talked about a little bit in my last video, and we'll probably talk about again later, is for writers under the age of 17 who don't think that they can do 50K. Or they can. It doesn't really matter. Your own personal preference. If you are under the age of 12, you have to sign up for Young Writers Program. It's just more of that adult thing, and parental permission, whatever you want to call it. If you're over 13 and you think you can do the 50K, you can actually sign up for the regular NaNoWriMo. Young Writers Program is pretty cool because you can create your own goal. So you don't think you can do 50K, but you think you can do maybe 35K, you can do that. 1,000, 10,000, whatever it is. They also have workbooks, which are super amazing. I think I talked about those before. But they're on the website. They've got them for elementary, middle school, and high school. I keep a copy of all 3 just for other people. I need to update for this year's because this year's you can do everything right on your computer, which is really, really nice. So even if you don't think you're going to use it, I recommend checking it out. Even if you're an adult watching this video, check out those workbooks because they're actually really super cool, and I kind of wish they would do them for the adults too. They also have a Dare Me button, which is down at the time of posting this. They're looking for submissions. The Dare Me works kind of similar to the Nano Word Sprint challenges, except that you're just clicking a button rather than watching the Nano Word Sprint Twitter. But, it will say, include a dog, or, there's an explosion, or whatever it is. So, if you need a little prompt or you want an extra challenge to whatever it is you're working on, the Dare Me button can be really fun. And finally, there's a forum so we can talk to other teenage writers. There is also a teen forum on the regular Nano forum page. I've lurked there a couple of times. They seem a little more inclusive than the 20 age range, which is where I'm at. A little less separated. But, if you like to talk to other people, get to know people, definitely check out those forums. You'll also want to um, join the region if you're on the regular NaNoWriMo page. I don't know if they do regions for the Young Writers Program, but if you're on NaNoWriMo, you will definitely want to join your region and talk to other adult writers as well. Finally, teen publishing options. I don't know a lot about these, so I apologize for that in advance. Teen Ink is probably the most popular one, or most well known, maybe. It's a teen magazine. Prints mostly fiction and poetry and maybe art. It's been a long time since I even looked at it. When I was a teenager, it was kind of my dream to get published in Teen Ink, and then I kind of forgot about it. But they're online. You can probably find issues through more. I haven't actually double checked that for locals. Cicada was actually another one that I always kind of wanted to be published in, but I never really got around to it. They're a cricket magazine. It's mostly teen-centric writing, written by adults. The Claremont Review is, again, for teens by teens, I believe. I'm not actually familiar with that at all. I found it on a random Google search. You'll also want to look up online more for those who are looking at this away from my library in particular. Go to your library, or, if you've got a library consortium like we do, their catalog, and look for books on teen publishing. I'm really recommending the Writing and Publishing by Tina P. Schwartz, which is in the It Happened to Me collection. They put out a lot of very interesting books, which I am going to have to find. It's a publish from 2010, Scarecrow Press. So find that. I buy the Writer's Market every single year. If they don't want teen authors, they will usually say in there they're not looking for teen authors. Most of them don't really say much of anything, so, give it a try, I guess. When you're talking to a real publisher or magazine or whatever it is, you want to make sure that you're sending them the best of the best that you have. One thing I'm putting in my publishing talk presentation for December is even when you think it's your best, it's not. Make sure have your parents read it, have a teacher read it, have a friend read it. Make sure that these people are telling you, hey, this is really good. Specifically, maybe an English teacher. If you're at a college level, or a college professor maybe who's in like the English or humanities department, have them take a look at it if they're willing. Anywhere you can get that little kickstart and, this is really good, you should definitely try and do something with this. Otherwise, that rejection that you get later is going to feel really bad. But, if you go through those options that you have, you should be good. Local options, The Pulse, which I mentioned earlier, is a hometown paper between lots of different places here in Augusta. Osseo, goes as far as, I think, Humbird. Sorry. It's put out through a place called the Heartbeat Center, which focuses on arts and writing. So, they haven't published a lot of fiction in the past, but I don't think they're adverse to it. Give them an email. If you want help contacting them, talk to me. They did an article a couple of weeks ago, probably almost 2 months ago now, on my writing talks and NaNoWriMo and how I want people to do it with me. So, they're really super nice. I think Scott is the editor. He was really funny and very, very nice. So yeah, check those out as well. Here's some resources for you. The Young Writers Program is on here. The Go Teen Writers is a blog. I've poked through it a little bit and it seems pretty legit. The Word Lab generator, which I think Word Lab has quite a few generators. There may be some adult-centric ones on there, so please click carefully. Randomnames.com if you're having an issue with, getting a name. Also, stop into the library. I'm sure we have baby name books. I have a ton of them. I also have a really cool character naming book that I found before Borders closed. Raider Die is on here, and Written Kitten. Other resources to think about: the NaNoWriMo forums have the generator page. They also have something called the adoptables. You can adopt plots, characters, names, whatever it is that you're looking for. I think this is my last slide. Next week, well, for me it's next week. For you, it will be later today, hopefully. I'm doing the So You Want to Write a Novel, which will be more adult-centric. If I didn't say something in here, hopefully I'll say it there. If you have any questions, you can email me at Johnson, JOHNSON, at Augusta Library, AUGUSTALIBRARY.org. You can message me here, or, well, possibly, I don't know if I'll actually read it, or you can find me on Facebook or the Augusta Library page on Facebook. Otherwise, leave a comment. Maybe I'll see it. Yeah, anything I can do to help you guys.